Alright, so, welcome to Frost, by the way. Welcome, welcome. Shake your hand, you see the welcome mat right on the ramp. It's right there. Spawning in the top right position as the blue Zerg player from Team Star till he's down 0-1. Can he bring it back? It is Life. Really tried to be super aggressive in the mid game. Did not pan out for him at all. And this gentleman in the southwest held on for dear life, and it worked. So, from Team Millennium, up 1-0, it is forGG. They're talking in Korean. My Korean is not that good. I can read it, but I don't actually know what I'm saying. So it's one of those weird situations where you just say things in another language that are offensive without realizing it. But forGG opting not to go for the fast wall off on Frost. It's funny because the only time that I at least see Terran players not do it is usually they'll just rally the SCV out, not realize it. But forGG, with the SCVs that he's got queued up in his command center, likely going to build a command center first on the low ground. So a wall doesn't really have any impact on this game anyway. He'll want to get one in the mid game, obviously, so that he doesn't die to any type of attack that's able to breach his natural expansion. But for the most part, he just doesn't seem overly concerned about it. Drones here, hatchery first, not unusual. And use the SCV, so the command center begins on the low ground. Like I said, I guess it makes sense. You're not going to have the wall anyway, but it also allows the SCV to get back to work faster. So it just means that forGG is a tyrant when it comes to making sure that his sweatshop SCVs don't stop mining those minerals. Gas, as we expect from Life. He loves Zerglings so much. I actually kind of imagine, I know at BlizzCon they were selling it on the online sale. They had the Zergling, Baneling plushies. He probably bought like 100 of them with his prize winnings just so that he could be surrounded by the unit he loves the most. And as we develop this, he's going to build the barracks and then the gas. So I imagine forGG just plays really, really standard like he did the last game. Like really standard. The only thing to note that I saw out of forGG, and that has actually been a little bit more and more popular. I saw Polt do this as well, actually, in yesterday's group versus Solar. They go for the barracks before the engineering base. They move up to 3 racks before any engineering base, and this allows them to just get a few more Marines out, and it's just early enough, those Marines, that they're able to hold off a wide variety of Zerg attacks. And it really showed for forGG. I mean, if he had even just a handful less Marines, if he doesn't have that filled bunker of Marines at his third base, if he doesn't have the Marines tucked behind the natural with the medevacs, maybe Life breaks him. So it's kind of just an interesting observation, at least from the Terran perspective, on some of the small things that the Terran players have been doing in this group, especially considering that the Widowmine nerf makes them not quite as effective at holding off those early Zerg attacks. But Queens are coming out. Life looks like as his first couple queens pop. How many queens will he commit to? 3 so far. And I'm wondering if he'll start up another one. Go for the 4-queen build. No, not yet. 3 queens is fine. You basically just have 2 putting out the larva and a third one to slowly push out creep. Usually, if you only go for 3 queens, that third queen tends to shove the creep as much as possible towards the wherever the third base is going to go. In this case, it seems that it will be actually out towards the center of the map, which is actually pretty good for the creep spread because it'll allow you to get towards your opponent faster with the creep, but leaves you slightly more vulnerable to outer attacks since there's so much drop space on this third, as well as a few different directions that you can hit it from. But Life must be feeling confident. forGG, he's walled off at 540. This is about as fast as this is actually as fast as Zergling speed almost ever comes versus an economic opening. And Life has speed now. So forGG's kind of looked at his opponent and said, okay, you're Startail Life. There's a pretty distinct possibility that you could just go completely, balls to the wall nuts with Zerglings in the beginning of this game. So I'm just not going to risk that. And I think it's, smart play from forGG. He doesn't really cut anything by doing this. It just prevents him from getting supply blocked because he has a third command center on the way. And he'd rather have the supply depots anyway. He can't afford to add on production this early. Engineering bays are going to come in as well. One Zergling does slip through the wall, though. And he gets some scouting information. He sees the engineering bays this time are coming before the barracks, which means forGG might be slightly more vulnerable to the type of attack that we saw in game number 1. And Life's actually, see, added on a 4th queen. Okay, he did add on a 4th queen. I think there's never bad to go for 4 queen, because then you just get full on crazy good creep spread. Not only to your 3rd base, but you can press it out towards these upper areas. This is basically what that extra queen does for you, and it's so nice. The Hellions come out towards the 3rd base, but all 3 queens are here chilling. Not overtly worried about the Hellions. They're like, okay, you're Hellions. That's fine. There's Zerglings up here on the creep. If he comes out here, he'll see the Hellions moving in. And these Zerglings will have absolutely no trouble just descending upon them and feasting on the mechanical organs of that unit. Although I guess they must have some bio somewhere for when they turn to Hellbats. 1-1 is on the way for both players. forGG slightly ahead, not really significant. The Hellions give a bit of poking. The Queens have like flame retardant coats on. They're very difficult to kill with fire, but I'm wondering if forGG is going to dive on the drones. I feel like it would be a little bit foolish this game. Keep in mind, forGG actually had about maybe 6 or so drone kills by this point because the Hellion diving and also the Reaper opening that he went for. So this game is a little bit more close than the last one, and because of that, Life might not think he needs to do the same type of aggressive play, because it's possible that the Baneling attack in game 1 was based solely around the fact that he had lost so many drones at the start, and I think that that's another sign as to why forGG may be playing a little bit more defensively this game with the fast wall off. He is keeping his Hellions at the tower, not willing to throw them away, risk losing them. And then these Zerglings come in towards the 3rd base. So he can confirm that the 3rd is planted for forGG. You can see he's like, okay, I know it's here. Do I harass? What is my play? Because now the Zergling can start to get more active as this creep spreads out. He checks the north area. He's going to take his 4th base immediately and start the Spire. The 1-1's coming in. This is a much better economic setup for Life than he had in the last game. He'll be able to start his 2-2 probably as soon as the 1-1 upgrades finish. And he also is going to have a much faster Baneling speed. So engagements on or off creep will go so much better for Life. I think Baneling speed's probably one of the most important upgrades, but excuse me, he's just moving into the 3rd base. The Hellions are here to defend, so Life doesn't really find too much of a hold for himself. Losing just a few more Zerglings at the tail end of that, as the 1-1 does finish. So as I was saying, I just mean like the Baneling speed is one of those upgrades that you never really notice until you forget to research it, and then you realize it's almost impossible to hit those Marines once they stim and start to spread out. So Life is just looking so much better this game. The Queens are beginning to press out, still losing some Zerglings, but that creep spread, like I said, on Star Station had difficulty getting it out around 13 minutes. Now we're not even at 11 yet, and it is crossing that midway point towards where forGG's base is. The Spire's about to finish. Mutalisks will come out. We can see some harass. forGG's reactors are going to be a little bit exposed. These are like the prime targets. As a Zerg player, you almost I don't know, it's almost just like a really arousing thing to see those add-ons with Mutas. But the Hellions come in for an attack with a double Marine medevac drop. He stims in the mineral line. The Zerglings are just trying to overwhelm him with sheer numbers. forGG's, I think, getting a pretty decent trade for these Marines. He's going to clean up, I think, possibly all of these Zerglings. A couple of Banelings get sent over, and he immediately picks up very good awareness from forGG to avoid those explosive enemies. And look, Life is trying to get his drones immediately onto that gas. forGG denying this gas is so nice. Every geyser that gets denied, 1 minute of mining on a Vespine geyser is a Mutalisk. So it's very important that he delays the mining as much as he can. And it's also important for Life that he focuses on getting that gas because it's so important for the Zerg race. I mean, if he goes by without getting attacked, thanks to this nice creep spread, he could get a very quick hive, he could get a very fast 3-3, and then either move into Ultralisks or just a super heavy upgraded style. Now, forGG is getting ready to start to push across the map like we saw in game number 1. This is his opportunity to try to take control of the game. He hasn't been attacked early on, but we have to consider that Life also hasn't made any heavy investments into aggression. Therefore, there's a distinct possibility that he's going to be able to put out so much more as far as the defense goes. And we already see him partitioning off Zerglings. Is it going to be a run-by? Is it going to be a surround with the Banelings he has? That's the question, and it looks like it's going to be a run-by. He's heading towards the 3rd base. There's a bunker with some Marines in it, but he's also just going to go straight to the natural. The depot does not get lifted in time. The Mutalisks are moving in as well. The bunker being taken out. A couple Banelings are rolling in. He could try to move these onto the mineral line, of forGG. He's taking serious losses, actually uses Contaminate on the factory to prevent the Widow Mines from coming out. Moves in some Zerglings to the main base. He's picked off a ton of SCVs in the natural, but the Marines will be able to clean this up. The Widow Mines as well. forGG with no missile turrets takes some serious losses, though. 11 SCVs are killed, but the Marines forced to run back so far. Stimming actually gets a lot of these Mutalisks. forGG catches a bit of a break there. This is one of those times when just having a bunker in the third base mineral line is so nice. It prevents almost any number of Zerglings from getting in there and dealing free damage. He even has a couple of cursory Widow Mines just kind of scabbing the map. But there's a lot of Banelings just chilling here for life. I don't know if this many Banelings is worth a mineral line versus a Terran player that has mules, but he could certainly send in just a few of these and kill all these SCVs and no problem. The mutas are going to harass as the Bioforce steps out once again, and all life wants to do is say, hey, you want to attack? Well, I'm going to swing around. The mutas and Zerglings are heading towards the natural. Once again, the Banelings running in. Going to pick off the bunker. These Marines are gone, and the SCVs as well. A good number of them still alive, though. Tries to catch this Bioforce giving chase, and he's going to just split off once again. He's running the Zerglings into the main base. He's got the Zerglings in the mineral line of the natural expansion. The third base is also exposed, but there's no Zerglings there just yet. SCVs dying left and right. Life has killed so many workers now. He's killed 40 SCVs. The Marines are trying to give chase. This missile turret will do some damage, but not enough. The Zerglings getting forGG's SCVs at the third base. We have to keep in mind, though, forGG still has an absolutely almost demonic amount of army supplies at 113 versus 95. He still has a bigger standing force, but life's just saying, yeah, man, every time you move out, I'm just going to come in and kill all your stuff, if that's cool. And forGG, it really has no choice but to start splitting his army, and that's when these Banelings that life has, he's going to be like, oh, you're going to split your army in half? Well, I'm just going to run 20 Banelings at you, and you can have fun trying to not die versus that. The rallied Marines are here, but the Mutalisks might be able to overwhelm him. His third base is lifted off as well, which makes things pretty difficult to deal with. A Thor on the way, 3-3. But life is just cranking out endless torrents of Zerglings. He's going to move in. The other Banelings coming in from all directions. The Widow Mine trying to get some shots off. Is it enough? All the Marines are dying for the Millennium Terran player. And suddenly, life is up 160 supply to 85. forGG's got nothing left. No economy to refuel this Terran machine. And he's going to make one last push forward. He needs to get the best Widow Mine shots we've ever seen in the history of StarCraft 2. He needs to redefine what it means to be a Widow Mine. And let's see if he can do that right here. The Marines are getting surrounded. Mutalisks take one pot shot, but two mines in the north, not able to get any hits off the mine on the center. Not able to get anything serious yet. Does grab a few Zerglings on the tail end. But forGG is going to move out with one Marine, one Thor, and one Widow Mine. What an unlikely assortment of heroes. The drone's getting snapped away as well. Now this one, these Mutalisks could kill this Thor with almost no trouble. Just magic box it. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Lifts up the Thor, boosts away towards these Marines, drops the Thor. It's got to let it shoot on these Mutalisks, but it gets focused down, and forGG types out GG. That is it for game number